So everything is holy now. Every one of you is holy. Every one of you is a divine expression of spirit. Say that. I am a divine expression of spirit. Again, I am a divine expression of spirit. Beautiful. And so is everyone and everything. So we're here. That's our divine purpose, to express spirit in our own individual way. And we can do that in terms of our spiritual life, our mental life, our emotional life, and our physical life. And we can constantly evolve to do that expression more and more. In short, we can get healthy. So what do we mean by health? There's a common definition in our society that health is just the absence of sickness or disease. So if we're not sick and we don't have a disease, then we're healthy. I saw a chiropractor when I lived in Chicago, and he had an expanded definition of health. He considered himself a holistic physician. And he said holistic physicians define health as not merely the absence of sickness, but reaching an optimum state of all these areas in our life and putting them all together. I'd like to propose an even more expanded definition of health today. And that is, health is when we put together our spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical lives in order to express ourselves as spirit. And we're constantly evolving all the time. There's really no end to it. We're always evolving. So that's the definition of health I want to look at today. And there are certain means we can get to jump on this train of evolvement in health. We can start right where we are, no matter where we are. We can bless it, bless how we got here, and acknowledge that that's where we are. And then we can push the envelope a little bit, just challenge ourselves in all these areas, just to get a little bit out of our comfort zone. And then we can have some long-term far-off goals, and we can keep looking at those and just see our progress toward those goals. And when we reach them, we can set another goal and get even further. It all starts, actually, the first step is our intention. We can affirm this intention that we are divine expressions of spirit, and that we intend to evolve constantly and express spirit in our own unique individual way more and more all the time. In terms of spiritual health is really all about being aware of spirit, having a communion with spirit, and allowing spirit in to heal us and to guide us. So we can have different spiritual practices. We can practice. I was just in classes at Windward Unity this past week, and almost every class we recited this mantra along the sky, whoever else was teaching. Prayer, meditation, and good works. Over and over. You're familiar with that, yeah? You're familiar with it. You know? But those are things we can do. We can have a regular practice of affirmative prayer and meditation. And good works, we can find ways to serve, or even like little things that just come up. I was at the bank the other day, and they were out of deposit slips. And my first impulse was to go up and just ask for one for me. But I said, wait a minute, I'll ask for a stack. And so I got a stack so everybody else would have them. And that just felt so good, even though it was a little tiny thing. So that's our spiritual life. And there's also things we can do, like we can attend classes, and we can come to these services. We can read spiritual books. And really the idea is to immerse ourselves in this spirituality. And that's when it really takes effect and starts to have something happen for us. In terms of our mental health, it's all about our thoughts, yeah? We're trying to let go of negative thinking, error thinking, negativity, separation, things like that, and embrace positive thinking, truth thinking, spiritual thinking. So a great way to do that is a form of meditation that's called Vipassana or insight meditation, or just free-form meditation. I've been practicing this a little more lately. So the idea is you have a little anchor like your breath, or maybe you're repeating a mantra, but you really open your awareness. So anything that comes in, you're not trying to grab something that I'm going to be aware of this or that. You just, whatever comes in, you're open to it. And you're aware of it, and then you come back to your breath. So you're practicing being aware, and then you're practicing letting go. And that rubs off into our everyday lives. Like we have a thought, we're running around, we're thinking, we have a thought, like maybe it's a thought from the past, our past conditioning or something. We really don't believe it, but if we're not aware of it, maybe we'll just automatically go with it as out of habit, you know. So we're more aware of it, we see that thought, and we've practiced letting go, so we can just let it go. We don't try to push it away, repress anything, we just let it go. And that's been so helpful to me. I've been discovering things that from my past that have come up. And I know they're silly, but I never really saw them before. And that when we give that attention to anything, it just automatically heals it. So I'm seeing these thoughts being healed, and they don't come back after a while. It's just really beautiful. In terms of our emotional health, it's kind of the same thing. We can practice meditation. We can practice being more aware of our feelings that come up. And not even just the feelings like saying, I'm mad, I'm happy, I'm joyful. We can actually sit there and be aware of the physical sensations that come up as we have these feelings. And then, once again, we let them go and come back to our anchor. And that helps us the same way in everyday life. Maybe I don't want to go with this feeling. Maybe somebody come in front of me, I'm really mad. Maybe I don't want to honk my horn, flip them off or whatever. Maybe I just want to let it go and say, God bless you, just keep going. So in terms of our physical health, now there's a long tradition in religious traditions of kind of denigrating the body, saying the body is sinful, the body is impure, and kind of ignoring it. We don't really believe that here, but even in modern spirituality like we practice here, sometimes we can have a tendency to focus on the spiritual and just ignore the body. Well, the body's material, it's physical. Spirit is what's important. Let's just ignore the body. But that's really not true. As far back as the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians, he says, do you not know that your body is the temple for the Holy Spirit? So our bodies are sacred. They're divine. Everything is divine, including our bodies. And our bodies are really the means that we have of expressing spirit in the physical world, so they're very important. I have a book about barbell workouts. It's called Starting Strength. It's by this trainer named Mark Ripito. And he actually says in the introduction, strength is the most important thing in life. That's kind of a wild statement. It may sound kind of weird at first, almost like a jock mentality, But really, in a way, it's true, because if our bodies are in really good shape, if we have more energy, our minds become clearer, and it just serves like our spiritual growth as well. So we can apply these ideas of setting an intention, pushing the envelope, and having long-term goals to our physical health as well. I'd like to share a little of my own personal story within the last few years with you as an example of this. I don't know if you can see that. That's me like around January 2002. I think I weighed about 220 something. Wow. I got a couple drinks in front of me. They're not virgin drinks either.
Big ones.
Yeah, they're extra large too. I had just been in Hawaii for about a year. I was really immersing myself in the Hawaiian and the local culture. I had gone to see this local singer, and he was really big. Not just musically, physically, he was big. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at him, and I said, wow, man, I think I need to eat more. And then I end up, it's the power of intention, so then I end up getting all these gigs where they have buffet dinners, and they said the band could eat. All the good Hawaiian food and everything. So I'm filling on my plate like this high full of food. I got done with that plate, and then I went back for seconds and sometimes thirds. I would call it the greatest hits plate, my favorite size. And I was drinking quite a bit. I was like killing off a bottle of wine every night. I thought I was a wine aficionado, And then I had this gig with this R&B group at a restaurant about usually once a week, and we had a band tab. So I would get there early and have dinner, and I would polish off like 3 Tangerine tonics and gin and tonics before the gig, and then every break I would have another one. So I was drinking really a lot, and that had gone on for quite a long time. And so I was also, I was practicing spirituality. I was doing meditation. I came from the Zen tradition after I moved here. And even though I was doing that, I hadn't found out about New Thought, and I had a lot of negative thinking going on. I didn't really realize that the universe is for me, that God is for me, that I'm a divine expression of God, and all these things we've been talking about. So I had a lot of negative stuff going on. And food and alcohol were kind of my drugs. They kind of consoled me. Well, life sucks, so I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to pig out. That kind of thing. So I was still working out some. I was doing some weightlifting, and one day I did power walks on the beach because I love the beaches here. And so one day I was walking on Waimanalo Beach Park, and all of a sudden I get this sharp pain in my right hip, and it went down my leg. I said, what's going on? So I went to the doctor. He did some x-rays, and he determined that I had some arthritis in my right hip and my lower back. And he said I should keep walking, but I really need to take off some of that weight. So I said, okay, I guess I'll be cool with the buffets from now on. But I kept up with the drinking for a while. And then a few years later, I read that alcohol keeps your liver busy. So if you eat a lot of food and drink, your liver's so busy processing the alcohol, it can't process the fat, and it just goes to the fat in your body. So I said, okay, I think I'll